Hello student, welcome to Accounting 2-1 Financial Accounting course. We are continuing chapter 1 Accounting in Action. We will analyze the effects of business transaction on the accounting equation. We all know transaction is an event that must be measurable in terms of money and that essentially impacts the financial position. Transactions are a business economic events recorded by accountants. Transactions can be external or internal. As we all know, not all activities represent transaction. Transactions have a dual effect on the accounting equation. Now we'll see an example where different transactions affect accounting equation. In this first transaction, Rainil decided to start a smartphone app development company which he named Softbyte. On September 1, 2020, he invested $15,000 cash in the business. This transaction resulted in an equal increase in assets and owner's equity. So Rainil just started a company called Softbyte. He invested $15,000 cash in the business. So the cash account of the company has increased by $15,000, which we can see here in the accounting equation. Because he invested the $15,000 money in the company, his owner's capital in the company also increased by 15,000, as we can see it here in the accounting equation. After the transaction, we can see both sides of the equation are equal. Student, you have to remember that after every transaction, both sides of the equation has to be equal. It is one of the important steps of accounting equation to remember. In this next transaction, Softbyte purchased computer equipment for $7,000 cash. So in this transaction, Softbyte purchased asset or asset called computer equipment for $7,000 cash. So in this accounting equation, we see equipment account increased by $7,000, and because he paid by cash, his cash account has also decreased by $7,000. In this next transaction, Softbyte Inc. purchased for $1,600 headsets and other accessories expected to last several months. The suppliers allow Softbyte to pay this bill in October. So in this transaction, Softbyte purchased $1,600 worth of supplies. So the supplies account in the accounting equation increased by $1,600. The other important information about this transaction is the supplier allows Softbyte to pay this bill in October. So that means Softbyte hasn't paid the amount yet. So there is a liability worth of $1,600 on Softbyte accounts. So we can see in the accounting equation, there is a liability called accounts payable has been created in the liabilities section of the accounting equation. After this transaction, both sides of the equation are equal. In this new transaction, Softbyte received $1,200 cash from customer for app development service it has performed. So we can see the Softbyte already performed his task as an app development service. So he already performed the service and he earned the revenue worth of $1,200. So we can see in accounting equation, the revenue account of the owner's equity section has increased by $1,200. And because Softbyte received $1,200 cash from the customer, the cash account of the company has also increased by $1,200. In this new transaction, Softbyte Inc. receives a bill for $250 from Daily News for advertising on its online website, but postpones payment until a later date. So Softbyte put an advertisement in Daily News's online website. So their advertisement is already been published in Daily News. So expense has been occurred as an advertising expense. But ShortByte hasn't paid the bill yet. He just received a bill worth of $250 from Daily News. So we can see in the accounting equation that expense account is increased by $250. As ShortByte hasn't paid the amount yet, so that's the liability account as a accounts payable has also been increased by $250. After this transaction, both sides of the equation are equal. In this new transaction, ShortByte performs $3,500 of service. So ShortByte already performed the service worth of $3,500. He already earned the revenue worth of $3,500, which is stated in accounting equation as increase in the revenue section. On the other hand, the company receives only cash of $1,500 out of $3,500. So the cash account has also increased by $1,500. The rest of the balance, the company billed it to the customer. Student, always remember, when the company bills something to the customer, that means he hasn't got the money yet. So to record this $2,000, we created an account called accounts receivable worth of $2,000. After the transaction, the both sides of the equation are equal. In this next transaction, ShortByte pays the following expense in cash for September: office rent $600, salary and wages of employees $900, and utilities $200. So the expense account of the company has been increased by $1,700, which is stated over here. Because the company all paid by cash, the cash account of the company also decreased by $1,700. In this new transaction, ShortByte pays its $250 Daily News bill in cash. The company previously in transaction 5 recorded the bill as an increase in accounts payable. Now in this transaction, ShortByte is paying the bill that it is owed to Daily News for the advertisement. So in this case, the liability account as an accounts payable has decreased by $250. And because he is paying by cash, the cash account has been decreased by $250 also. After this transaction, both sides of the equation are still equal. Now, ShortByte received $600 in cash from customer who had been billed for services in transaction 6. In transaction 6, ShortByte was supposed to get $2,000 worth of cash from customer. Out of $2,000, now the company is receiving $600. So the accounts receivable account is decreasing by $600, and because the company is getting cash, cash account is also increasing by $600. In this last transaction, Renil withdraws $1,300 in cash from the business for his personal use. Because Renil withdrawing cash from for his personal use, the owner's drawing account is gonna be increased by $1,300, and the cash account of the companies is gonna be decreased by $1,300. As you can see, after all this transaction, both sides of the equation are equal as $18,050. Student, you always have to remember, after all the transaction, both sides of the equation has to be equal. or else there is an issue with the accounting equation.